Hello, my name's Yvonne. Thank you for joining us today. I'm here to offer you support on parenting. We always get given so much advice on what to do as a parent. We're very seldom given the context to do that in and the background information to understand it. If you'll keep watching us through the next few episodes, I hope to give you that context, that background, so that you can understand what your teachers are talking about and you can understand what therapists are talking about or recognize the symptoms in your child. Let's get started. What is parenting? Parenting is the job of supporting and preparing your child. What are we supporting them for? To be ready for life. If we can give our children the preparation for life, the foundation of a home where they form their own identity and their sense of belonging, the water to grow that plant is the school or a school environment, whether that be a cottage school or a high school or a preschool. But that school offers them the social interaction they need. It also gives them the intellectual stimulation they need. Parents, we don't expect you to know it all. You have your jobs, and we're trained in these. Sunshine is the morals and the ethics that we teach them. This is where you get the better life, where you make the hard decisions and you make the good decisions. Reaching their full potential is really where they own their own achievements, but we've got to support them getting there. That's our job as parents, is to support our children and prepare them so that when they face those challenges, they're ready for it. What is parenting not? Lawnmower parenting. Many of us are very, very guilty of this. This is when you prepare the road ahead for your children, but you don't let them struggle. You make sure that it's an easy pathway, but we're really not doing them any favors because they're not experiencing childhood. They're not experiencing what it is to have life that sometimes gets difficult. The other one is helicopter parenting. We're not preparing the road ahead, but this time, as things happen, we're fixing it. We're always looking over their shoulder and we're always making sure that everything is fixed for them, rather than letting them stumble and figure out how to prepare so that it doesn't happen again. These are the things that we want to prepare them for as parents. What exactly are we preparing? There's their emotional standpoint. They have to be able to control their emotions and manage them so that they can cope with the challenges that life brings their way. You are not always going to be with your children. They do need to know how to deal with disappointment, how to not rub it in someone else's face if they do really well, but can still show that they are proud of themselves. From a social point of view, the next generation has a real challenge with relationships. Technology has changed. Where we used to sit down and talk to each other, it's now all on the phone, it's all WhatsApp, meeting people online. And there's a whole nother set of dangers for that in itself. From an intellectual point of view, the next generation of jobs, I don't believe we even know what they are yet. How do we prepare our children for a job that doesn't yet exist? What we do is we prepare them intellectually to do things their own way, to do things as an entrepreneur or do things in a creative way, so that when that challenge comes their way, when that opportunity comes their way to have a new profession, they're ready for it, they can tackle it. Then there's always the ethics. When you have good habits, when you make good decisions, essentially you will always get to a place of success. If you listen to the biggest success stories, it is always discipline and habit that gets them there. The moral is what keeps you on track. And that is our job as parents, keeping our children on track. When should this happen? So, how do I know when I need to start preparing my child for this? Each age has different things you need to prepare them for. When they're tiny and they need to learn to walk, we've got to put plug points with protectors on it. When they get older, we need to start preparing them for relationships, how to share with siblings, how to maybe deal with new relationships where it's just two of you in a relationship. So there are different milestones. And that's the fancy word that educators love using, that really is just at this age, this is what your child should be learning. This is what we need to focus on. Does that mean that all the rest disappears? Absolutely not. We just need to focus on certain developments at certain ages. Then we get the red flags. If you have a teacher or a therapist that is saying to you, I'm concerned about things, that's what we call a red flag. These are things that they're maybe a little bit behind on or haven't quite perfected when we expect them to. Does that mean that they're special needs? Does that mean they need a diagnosis? Absolutely not. That just means as parents and educators, we need to focus on that little area a little more to catch them up to everyone else. It's not doom and gloom when we have red flags coming up. When our children get stressed, they regress. What does that mean? Even as adults, when we get stressed, we go back to what we know. We go back to where it's comfortable and where we can control what's happening. Our children are not different. As soon as they get stressed, they go back a little bit. So you'll probably see behavior return that you haven't seen in a while. That might be hanging onto a blankie if they're quite little, or you'll see your children wanting a bit more affection than what they used to give. But that's something that used to happen when they were a bit younger. So when you see signs of your child going back to what they know, it's them trying to cope with a new stress. Support that. Give them the opportunity to touch on those things that give them comfort. If we still ignore them in that phase, our children then go into fight, flight, or freeze. And this is where we start having to get therapeutic interventions in place and real help on board. This is when your children start showing signs of fidgeting, maybe not sleeping at night, not wanting to be in social situations, not speaking to other people, selective mutism, so choosing who they want to speak to, and just absolutely losing their personality. And a parent is the best person to identify this. A parent is the one that knows the personality of their child, knows their daily habits, and when they go extreme and they go off course, a parent can identify this the most. Fight, flight, or freeze all have the same severity as far as a child is concerned. We just have children respond in different ways. If we still ignore the fight, flight, or freeze, that's where we end up with academic delays. This is where their performance in class can no longer be what we expect. And they really do need our support and our preparation then. Why? Why is this your job? You know, we find that I have a lot of people telling me, but the school should be handling this. But the doctor should be dealing with this. It's the doctor's job to diagnose this. Why isn't the teacher dealing with this behavior? At the end of the day, this is your child. You have the biggest interest in your child's success, more than a teacher, more than a therapist or a principal. So why you? You have the experience. You know your child, but you also have a lot more experience than your child. Even if they're 18 and they think they know more than you do, you have the experience. You are better positioned to make difficult decisions for them. They need to make the decisions, but at times it's hard for them because they know the road ahead. You need to have that discipline and be capable of making the difficult decisions for them sometimes. If there's research to be done, if you don't understand the situation that you're in, you are able to pick up a computer, do research, but more importantly, when Google spits out all these diagnoses, you're able to filter through them. And that is where we need to take the standpoint. You are the parent in this situation. You need to do the filtering, you need to do the preparation, and you need to give them support based on the information that you get. Most importantly, you want your child to succeed. You are the one person who most wants your child to succeed. So give them the input and the support that they need. How do I do that? There's all this information, but how do I help my children? Spend time with them. Get to know who they are. What are their likes? What are their dislikes? What are their concerns? what makes them happy, and most importantly, communicate with them about that on a regular basis. If you keep the lines of communication open with them, they will tell you when things are not going well. If you communicate with them that you're not perfect, they're probably more likely to tell you when they don't feel perfect. Set some goals together. This is one of the biggest skills you can give your child, is to set goals. Throughout life, this is one of the big secrets to success, no matter who you speak to. So teach them early. Set those goals, but get their input. You have to have them buy into it in order to want to achieve it. So get their input and offer your experience. Offer the support, but don't be a lawnmower parent. Don't prepare it for them. Have them decide on what their goals need to be. Having consistent boundaries, and as a parent myself, this is probably the most difficult one. Boundaries are boundaries for a reason. Keep them consistent. Apply those same boundaries. It gives our children a sense of security. Those boundaries were put in place for a reason, and it's to keep our children on track. They need to stay on a certain pathway, whether that be manners when they sit at the table, whether that be what time to get to school on time. How long it takes you to get there determines how soon you need to leave. Those boundaries are in place for a reason. Keep them consistently and have consequences. Consequences that the child feels as a consequence, not that you feel as a consequence. One of the things that parents like to take away quickly is TV. And then you end up sitting in the lounge thinking, I don't know what to do, and you give the TV back to the child because it inconveniences you. Rather, keep the consistent boundaries where you take away things or reward them rather with positive behavior. You were on time today. Look at us. We're in success tonight. How about we do this together? Build them up and support them. Our children hear criticism all day long. They probably get a lot more than most adults do because everything they're learning is new. And we want to impart wisdom, but we don't always do it in a very friendly way. So build them up and support them. When you see those successes, give them the credit due. Tell them that you're proud of them and tell them that they're doing a great job. If they fall, don't save them. Give them the opportunity to get back up and fix it. Try a different method. Encourage them though, and tell them about mistakes you've made before, where you've had to get up, dust yourself off, and try again. If you have red flags, if your child has been pinpointed as a child who needs extra help, get the help. I've shown you the effects of what happens if you don't intervene. Please try not to deny the fact that your child is struggling. It doesn't mean they're broken, and it doesn't mean they're naughty. They need the help. So get the help for them, please. That's part of what is your job, is to prepare and support them. If you need to get an assessment done on your child, find someone that you trust, someone that works for your family. It doesn't help you go to a therapist or to someone who helps you with interventions, but it doesn't fit with the schedule of your family. There is something that works for your family. So keep going and persist until you find that something that works for your family. I've left my details here as well. Please contact me. If I can't help you, I certainly will help you find someone who can help with whatever your family is going through. Hope to see you in the next episode as well.